My brother joked to the family that I was the practice child, and everyone laughed too quickly. It wasn't even a good joke. He didn't set it up, didn't pause for timing, didn't soften it with a grin that said I'm kidding. He just lifted his beer, looked around the patio like he was doing a toast, and said, "Honestly, Leo was the practice child. Mom and Dad got all their mistakes out on her, and then they nailed it with me." The laugh that followed was immediate. Too fast, too loud, like people were stepping on a squeaky floorboard and trying to cover the sound. My aunt did that sharp little bark of laughter she uses when she's not sure what else to do. My mom laughed with her mouth, but not her eyes. My dad laughed like it was a compliment to him. Someone actually clapped, and I was standing there with a stack of paper plates in my hands, frozen mid-step, feeling the heat creep up my neck because I suddenly didn't know where to put my face. I tried to move, like if I just kept walking the moment would pass through me without leaving a bruise. The plates felt flimsy, edges bending under my grip. The patio smelled like lighter fluid and grilled onions, and the air was sticky with late afternoon heat. My brother, Sam, was still smiling, scanning the group for reaction like he was a comedian checking if the audience bought it. My cousin Jess was already wiping tears from laughing too hard, which made me want to scream, because why is that funny to you? My partner, Mara, was behind me at the drinks table, and I felt her go still before I even looked back, like her whole body tightened at once. And my mom, my actual mom, reached over and squeezed my brother's arm affectionately, like he'd just said something charming. No one looked at me, not even a quick "you okay?" glance. It was like the joke had erased me from the circle for a second, turned me into a prop. It was a Saturday afternoon at my parents' house, one of those everyone come over, we're doing a barbecue gatherings that's never really about the barbecue. It was technically for my dad's birthday, but birthdays in my family are just an excuse to stage a couple hours where we pretend we're close and functional and not quietly resentful. I almost didn't go. I hovered over the group chat invite for a full day, thumb on the sure, see you then like it was a detonator. But my grandma was coming, and my cousin had flown in from interstate, and my mom had texted me separately, "Please don't skip this one. It would mean a lot," which is her way of saying, if you don't come, I'll be embarrassed, and I'll make it about you being difficult. So I went. I brought dessert. I wore a shirt that wouldn't give anyone an opening. I practiced smiling in the car mirror like a psychopath. I'm the oldest. That's the whole story, really, but I didn't realize how much of my personality is oldest child damage until I started paying attention. My parents were young when they had me. Mom was 21, Dad was 23, and they loved telling people that like it's a quirky fun fact. We grew up together. They say. We didn't know what we were doing. They say. And when I was little, I believed that meant we were a team. I thought I was special because I was the first. I thought being the first meant you were treasured. In my family, being the first meant you were the one the rules got tested on. I was the kid who had to learn consequences. I was the kid who got told, life isn't fair, when I cried because Sam got to stay up later or got a bigger slice of cake or got his tantrums treated like big feelings. When I was 8, I got grounded for forgetting to put my school shoes away. When Sam was 8, he threw a controller at the TV and my dad sighed like he was tired and said, "He's spirited." When I was 13, my mom read my diary because she was worried and then lectured me about privacy being something you earn. When Sam was 13, my parents knocked before entering his room like he was a tenant. When I got my first B in math, my dad sat me down and told me, "You need to apply yourself. You're capable of more." When Sam got a D, my dad said, "School isn't for everyone. He's a hands-on learner. Same parents, same house, different universe." And the thing is, this is the part that messes with my head. I don't think my parents set out to be unfair. I think they just got better at being gentle. I think they got tired. I think they learned which battles weren't worth it. I think they softened around Sam because they'd already hardened around me. That's the part that makes the practice child line so brutal. It's true in a way that's not funny. It's not a cute, haha, we were clueless new parents. It's a description of being the one who got the strict version of them, the anxious version, the version that needed control to feel safe. Sam has said versions of it before, but never like this. Never as a toast, never with an audience. The party itself had been going okay before that. Grandma had pinched my cheek and asked if I was eating enough. My aunt had asked me about work in that polite way that's really just checking if I'm still doing okay. My dad was in a good mood because he loves being the grill guy, loves being in charge of meat and timing, and having people praise him for not burning anything. I've been doing my usual thing, floating, helping, refilling, being useful so no one could accuse me of being weird or antisocial. Mara was being her usual steady self, smiling, making small talk, stepping in when I got cornered by a relative who thinks, "So when are you going to settle down?" is a normal thing to say to someone holding a plate of potato salad. Then my brother decided to perform. It was after we'd eaten, when everyone was in that warm, sleepy phase where they're holding drinks and talking louder than necessary. Someone had brought up childhood stories, because of course. And Sam launched into one about how he once tried to cook instant noodles in the kettle when he was 10. Everyone laughed. Dad laughed hardest. Mom did that, "Oh my God, I can't believe you did that" laugh. And then Sam, riding the attention, lifted his beer and said the line. Practice child. Everyone laughed too quickly. I stood there for a second longer than made sense, plate still in my hands, trying to decide if I was allowed to react. Because that's the thing about being labeled the sensitive one. You start negotiating with yourself in real time. If you say something, you ruin the vibe. If you don't, you're agreeing. My stomach felt tight, like I'd swallowed something sharp and my body was still deciding if it was food or danger. Mara's voice came softly from behind me. "Hey," she said, barely above a whisper. I turned my head just enough to see her face. Her eyes were on Sam, not on me, and her mouth was set in that calm line she gets when she's furious but controlled. She stepped closer to me, just enough that her arm brushed mine, grounding me. Sam was still talking. "I mean, no offense," he added, like that fixed anything. "You know I love you. But you were like the rough draft." The rough draft. God. My Aunt Linda laughed again and said, "Well, you did turn out okay, and it was meant as reassurance, but it landed wrong too. Like, see? The experiment didn't kill you." My dad pointed at Sam with the tongs like he was proud. "He's not wrong," Dad said, grinning. "We were strict with Leah. Had to be. First kid. You don't know what you're doing." My mom chimed in, cheerful and automatic. "Oh, stop. We weren't that strict." My mouth opened before I fully decided to speak. "You were," I said. It came out quiet, but it was clear. The circle shifted slightly. Not everyone stopped, but enough people paused that the air changed. Sam's smile flickered just a millimeter. Dad's grin tightened. Mom's face did that quick alarm thing, like she just spotted a spill and was deciding whether to mop it up before someone notices. "Leah," Mom said in that tone that means don't without saying don't. Sam laughed, trying to keep it light. "See? Practice child behavior. She's taking it seriously." A couple people laughed again, but it wasn't as clean this time. It sounded forced, like they could feel something was wrong, but didn't know how to back out without looking complicit. My hand started shaking. I set the plates down on the table too hard, and one of them slid, skimming the surface like it wanted to escape too. "I'm not taking a joke seriously," I said, and my voice wobbled even though I hated it. "I'm taking what you're saying seriously." Sam frowned like I was being unfair. "I'm literally complimenting you. You survived our parents." That word, survived, landed in my chest like a rock. Because yes, exactly. Why is that funny? Dad scoffed, suddenly irritated. "Here we go." Mom's hand shot out and touched my elbow lightly. Not a comfort touch, a steering touch. "Sweetheart, it's Dad's birthday. Please." That did something to me. The fact that she was asking me to swallow it for the occasion, like my dignity is always the thing we put on hold so the event can proceed. Sam held his hands up, smiling again. Okay, sorry. I forgot we can't tease Leah." I looked around the circle, and I realized no one was going to help me. Not because they're evil, because they've all agreed, silently, over years, that I'm the one who can't take a joke, and that agreement keeps everyone else comfortable. If I react, I confirm it. If I don't, I accept it. Heads I lose, tails I lose. Mara cleared her throat softly. "It's not teasing if it's mean," she said, calm as anything. The whole circle snapped to her. It was like a dog whistle. People can tolerate me being uncomfortable. Someone else calling out makes it real. My Aunt Linda's eyes narrowed. Oh, come on. Dad laughed, short and dismissive. Who invited the therapist? Mara didn't flinch. I'm not analyzing anyone. I'm just saying, maybe don't use practice child like it's cute. Sam's cheeks flushed. He looked at Mara like she'd stepped into a family argument without permission. This is between me and Leah, he said, which was funny, because he hadn't looked at me once while making the joke. Mom's voice got tight. Mara, darling, it's really not a big deal. It was a big deal to me. I could feel it in my throat, in my eyes, in that old familiar pressure behind my ribs, the pressure of being the one who has to absorb everything and still smile. I don't want to do this, I said suddenly, and my voice surprised me with how flat it sounded. I don't want to stand here while you all laugh about how I was your mistakes. Sam opened his mouth. Dad shifted like he was about to say something sharp. Mum's eyes got glossy, as if I had wounded her by naming it. Grandma, sitting on the patio chair with a blanket over her knees despite the heat, blinked slowly. What's going on? She asked, voice small. That snapped something in me too, because now Grandma was involved, and I didn't want her confused and worried. I didn't want my family's emotional mess to spill onto her birthday celebration. But I also didn't want to keep being the person who silently bleeds so everyone else can enjoy the party. Sam did the thing he always does when tension rises. He turned it into a performance. Nothing, Nan, he said brightly. Leah's just being Leah. I felt my face burn. Mara's hand found my lower back, light pressure a question. I looked at Grandma and forced my voice softer. I'm okay, I said, because that's my reflex too. I just need a minute. Then I walked away from the circle, across the yard, past the table of half-empty plates, past the kids' chalk drawings on the concrete, and into the kitchen. The sudden quiet felt like stepping underwater. My ears rang. I gripped the edge of the sink and stared at the window above it, watching my family outside continue moving like I just stepped out for more napkins. Mara came in behind me and shut the sliding door gently. You don't have to stay, she said. I laughed once, short and ugly. If I leave, they'll say I'm dramatic. They're going to say that anyway, she said, matter of fact, like she'd finally gotten tired of pretending my family's script was reasonable. I stared at the sink. There was a smear of mustard on a plate someone had abandoned. The stupid normalcy of it made me want to cry. I hate that they laughed, I said quietly. I hate how fast it was, like they'd been waiting for permission. Mara leaned against the counter beside me. Your dad laughed because it flatters him, she said. It makes him the lovable young dad who made mistakes. Your brother laughed because it makes him the success story. Everyone else laughed because they didn't want to be the one who didn't. I swallowed. My throat hurt. So what am I? Mara looked at me. You're the one who had to be the lesson. I closed my eyes. That sentence hit too close to the bone. We stayed in the kitchen for maybe 5 minutes, maybe 20. Time does weird things when you're trying not to lose it. Outside, the laughter rose and fell. Someone turned the music up. Someone called for more ice. Eventually, my mom came in. She didn't start with, "Are you okay?" She started with, "Can you please not make a scene today?" Histoire de rire. I didn't make a scene. Sam did. Mom's eyes flashed. He was joking. He called me the rough draft, I said. Mom sighed like I was exhausting. We did our best. I'm not saying you didn't, I said, and my voice shook now because it was all tangled up. Anger, grief, that weird loyalty that still clings even when it hurts. I'm saying it's not funny to be reminded, publicly, that you were stricter and colder with me, and then everyone laughs like that's normal. Mom's mouth tightened. You're overthinking. Mara made a small sound, like she wanted to jump in, but she didn't. She let me have it, which I appreciated. Mom softened her voice, tried the guilt angle. It's Dad's birthday. Histoire de rire. Why is it always someone's birthday? Someone's engagement? Someone's holiday? When is it ever okay for me to say something? Mom looked genuinely stuck for a second. Then she did what she always does. She made it about her pain. Her eyes filled. We can never do anything right by you. And there it was. The trap. If I push, I'm ungrateful. If I withdraw, I'm cold. If I speak, I'm ruining things. If I stay quiet, I'm consenting. I felt something in me settle, quiet, solid. I'm leaving, I said. Mom's face changed instantly, panic and anger mixing. Don't. I'm not storming out, I said, and even I heard how carefully I was managing my tone. I'm going to say bye to Grandma and go. I'm not doing this. Mom's voice sharpened. You're proving Sam's point. Mara stepped closer to me, and her voice stayed calm. No, she's responding to being humiliated. Mom's eyes flicked to Mara like she wished Mara wasn't here to witness. Then she looked back at me, and the disappointment in her expression felt like a familiar weight being dropped onto my shoulders. Fine, she said, stiff. Do what you want. We went outside. I walked straight to Grandma. Grandma looked up at me with that slow, careful gaze she has, like she's measuring the air in the room. Are you leaving, love? She asked. I forced a smile. Yeah, I am tired. Grandma reached for my hand, her fingers cool and papery. Your father likes to laugh at things he shouldn't, she said quietly. He blinked her. That was the closest anyone in my family had ever come to calling it what it was. And your brother, she added, even quieter, he repeats what he hears. My throat tightened. Yeah. Grandma squeezed my hand. You were a good girl, she said, like she was speaking to the child version of me. You were good. It made my eyes sting. I bent down and kissed her cheek. Happy birthday, I whispered. I'll come see you this week, okay? Just us. She smiled. I'd like that. Behind me, I could feel eyes on my back. Mum's, Dad's, Sam's, waiting to see if I'd make a spectacle. I didn't. I grabbed my bag, said a quick generic goodbye to a couple relatives, and walked out. As I reached the driveway, I heard Sam's voice behind me, too loud. Love you, practice child. Someone laughed. Someone else shushed him. Dad said, enough, but he was smiling when he said it, like he still wanted the moment to stay funny. I got in the car. My hand was shaking so hard it took 2 tries to get the key in the ignition. Mara buckled her seatbelt and didn't speak until we were off the street. Then my phone buzzed. A text from Sam. You couldn't just take a joke? Another from Mom. Your father's upset. Grandma is confused. Why do you do this? Another from Dad. Just 2 words. Grow up. I stared at the messages at a red light. Jaw clenched so hard my teeth hurt. Mara reached over and took my phone gently from my hand and put it face down in the cup holder like she was defusing something. You didn't do anything wrong, she said. I exhaled shakily. I feel like I did. I admitted because that's the worst part. I felt guilty leaving. I felt guilty speaking. I felt guilty existing in a way that wasn't convenient. The guilt didn't mean I was wrong. It just meant the training ran deep. That night, Sam called. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail anyway. Voice irritated and performative even without an audience. Seriously, Leah, it was a joke. Everyone knows you're the sensitive one. You always make everything heavy. I was trying to lighten the mood. Lighten the mood by turning my childhood into a punchline. I listened to it twice, then deleted it. My chest felt tight, but it wasn't just sadness. It was something like clarity. Because the truth is, I've been the practice child in more ways than parenting. I was the practice apology, sorry you feel that way. I was the practice boundary, one that never held. I was the practice adult, expected to understand, expected to cope, expected to be grateful for scraps of warmth. And Sam? Sam has been practicing his lines for years. He doesn't even know he's reciting them. He thinks he's being funny. He thinks he's being honest. He thinks he's bonding with the family by placing me in the role we all learned early. The one who can be mocked because she'll still come back. The next day, Mom texted me a photo from the barbecue. Everyone around the table, laughing, arms slung over shoulders. It looked like a happy family. The caption was, wish you didn't leave so early. No mention of the joke. No, im suri. Just a gentle little hook of blame. I didn't reply right away. I sat on my couch with Mara's hand in mine and stared at the wall until my breathing slowed. Then I typed, I didn't leave early. I left when I realized you were all comfortable laughing at me. Mom didn't respond for hours. When she did, it was, that's not fair. And maybe it isn't fair. Maybe it isn't fair to drag my parents' early mistakes into the daylight. Maybe it isn't fair to ask my brother to see himself as someone who benefits from that script. Maybe it isn't fair to expect my mom to choose discomfort over harmony. But it also wasn't fair to be the kid they learned hardness on. It wasn't fair to be the punchline. It wasn't fair that the whole yard laughed like it was cute. So here's where I'm at. I don't know if I'm going no contact. I don't know if I'm going to skip every event forever. I didn't know I'm not showing up just to be the family's origin story. I'm not standing in a yard holding paper plates while everyone agrees, with laughter, that my pain was just part of the process. I'll see Grandma. I'll bring her lunch. I'll listen to her stories. I'll let her squeeze my hand and call me her good girl, and I'll try to believe her. And if my brother wants to call me practice child again, he can do it without me in the audience.